What's going on? Davis James here, media manager, coordinator here at Anglers All down in the tying studio. Today I'm going to bring to you guys another saltwater fly for the fly tying series. This is the Clouser Minnow. I fish it a lot in saltwater for redfish. I fished it for bass. It's really an all-water, kind of all-species pattern, invented by Bob Clouser. It's a great, simple tie and something you should have in your box. Let's get in some better tying attire here. Not quite. There we go, much better. All right, so first thing we're going to do here for the Clouser minnows, we're going to make a thread bump at the 1/3 point. This is going to give a nice resting place for your eyes. When it comes to the eyes, you've got a pretty good amount of choices out there. The original pattern is going to have a medium lead eye to match this size 2 811S Tiemco hook. I like to do more of a shrimp variation, something with a little more modest color. This is going to be the Dazel Eye in a 3/16 size. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right behind that bump, and I'm going to do cross wraps. Do about 5. And I'm going to counteract the other direction with 5 more. Get 6. We'll do this a couple times. You know, I've done figure 8s for a long time, and when I saw Bob Clouser recommend cross wraps, I've never been able to get the eyes to secure faster than after learning that little trick. All right, now we're going to advance up to behind the hook eye, and then back to the 50% point between the eyes and the hook eye. First thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a piece of white bucktail here. I'm going to grab kind of near the tip of the bucktail. The fibers are long and they're a little less coarse. Sometimes I'll tie these and they'll stick out all over the place. Sometimes, you know, they'll be a little nicer and neater. Really, I don't think the fish seem to care. But you don't need too much. I think most people make a mistake of grabbing too much of this material. We're going to take a little hunk about 2.5 times the length of the hook itself. I'm going to grab the long fibers and pull out the short ones. These short ones are just going to create bulk, unnecessary bulk. Sometimes when you get one that's kind of wild, it's because you didn't pull out enough of these short hairs. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pinch, we're going to make an oval here. This is Mr. Clouser's suggestion. By doing this, you're going to create a bundle that's easy to lay down on the hook. So we're going to cut that off nice and even. What we're going to do now, we're going to lay that down behind the hook eye. We're going to do a loose wrap to gather it. Now keep pulling up as you wrap forward. What this does is it's going to keep, you can kind of rotate a little bit, it's going to keep this stuff on this side of the hook. And we're going to wrap forward. So we got a nice, neat spot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go directly back behind the eyes, and we're going to pull up and back as we wrap some more. What we're doing is keeping this material on the top of the hook. According to Mr. Clouser, this is important. All right. So I'm going to go to about the hook point, maybe somewhere between the hook point and the barb. And so there we go, laying back nice and neat. Going to advance forward and go back to the front of the hook again. All right, now we're going to use our rotary function on this Regal vise here, flip it upside down. The flash I'm going to be using is a Bonefish tan. You'll often see kind of a rainbow flash in the original one, or you might see root beer. There's just a ton of products out there. You can pick the color you think is gonna catch the most fish for you. So I'm doing the same thing. I pull down, pull all those back. And attempt to not stab ourselves. All right, just a few wraps. You don't have to do a zillion. And then what we're looking for is we're looking for this flash to be just a little bit longer than the bucktail. All right, next step, we're gonna grab tan bucktail. We're gonna go ahead and find a chunk that's not super coarse, but has some good length to it. All right. Again, we're going to hold the long ends and we're going to pull the short ones out. I want to get a nice bunch. This is probably about maybe a half or a third of a pencil amount. We don't want too much. I'm going to pull out some of these ones that kind of are fraying and sticking all over the place. All right, we're going to hold these again in an oval, kind of pinching them. And we're going to snip. Now what we're going to do, just like the first bunch of bucktail, is we're going to lay this down on the hook. Make a loose wrap, and then we're pulling up. By pulling up, we're keeping all that stuff, all that bucktail, that tan, on this side of the hook. Lay some thread down to create a head. All right. And then we'll fix and adjust the materials once we get this out of the hook once. We're going to go ahead and whip finish. All right, we're going to put some epoxy on this so we don't have to do a super gnarly whip finish. I do usually about a 3 to 5 turns. I'm going to keep it kind of old school. I'm going to use Zap-A-Gap on this one. I like all the Loon. I like all the Loon UV products, but this fly is all about really not keeping it simple, not getting too fancy. For people that don't have all the UV products out there and all the latest and greatest fly tying adhesives, super glue and Zap-A-Gap work great. If you're patient and you let it dry, it should work great for you. All right, we're going to pull this out of the vise as we wait for that to dry. I'm going to reposition. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. We're going to have a material list in the caption below the video. And subscribe and leave us a comment. What do you want to see next? We're hoping to really grow the saltwater selection and then keep the tying videos going with Greg Garcia and Ben and more guest tyers. So again, thanks for watching and have a good one. Tight lines.